Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a GeekVerse Retrospective. I am that accent, Trasnail, and I'm joined by...
I'm Dastan's man, Kirklin Patzer.
I'm the Adam Hart caster, Dylan Muss.
I'm the assassin Taylor Field.
Whoa.
Assassin. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Patreon pick. If you don't know how this works, what happens is, every once in a while, we've done themed ones now. We did one for Halloween. We did this. We're doing a Christmas one. Not sure what will be the next one, but if you go to Patreon, you'll get to find out and vote and submit and all that good jazz. What we did, because fall, obviously it's been kicked off a lot, but November is probably usually the biggest month for gaming. So we thought, okay, let's do a video game movie. We put it out to the people, and Prince and Persia was ahead and above, won the poll, and here we are. We're going to be talking about 2010's Prince of Persia, directed by Mike Newell. Is it Mike Newell or Newell? I'm screwing up. Newell. Thank you very much, Kirkland. Yeah, you're right. Starring Drake Gyllenhaal, Jim Astron, Toby Kebbell, Ben Kingsley, Alfred Molina, lots of good people in there and stuff like that. So there won't be a non-spoilers portion. We're just going to talk about this movie. But Taylor, where can they find everything we do? Other retrospectives, other reviews, other shows, stuff like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook.
Everything you need to know is down below. Get our links at our separate feeds. We got 5 separate feeds. We're doing shows pretty much weekly most of the time now. It's usually 5 to 6 days out of the week. There's something on the feed for you. Head over to Patreon. Like I said, not only can you be voting on these, submitting them, you can get them ad free. You get this episode early. Get exclusives. After 9's happening this weekend. We'll be doing originals soon and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be a bread and butter cooking. So there's lots of good exclusives coming up. And head over to Manscaped. Use that GV podcast code GVPOD to get that free shipping and 20% off. And I forgot to say, because people that voted on this, a big thank you to our Patreon producers, Aaron Brain, April of Darkness, Smalley Bakes, and Joshua Wright. So let's start. I usually leave them last, but let's start on a high. Taylor Field, what do you feel on Prince of Persia? I'll always say this.
Bold assumption.
Well, come on. Did you not see this movie and think, man, I bet Taylor's going to fucking shit all over this? So Taylor, I'm going to say, one, where were you the first time you saw this movie, and what did you think about then? And then what did you think about it after watching it this week?
The first time I saw this movie, where the fuck was I?
Did you see it in the theater, do you think?
I don't remember. It's all blacked out.
Fuck.
But
It was like 12 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. It seems older than it truly is. It's not that far in the past.
Whose theater was it?
yeah, I have no recollection of the first time seeing this. The earliest thing I can remember was member of the family who will remain nameless visited, and they brought
Wait a
over.
second. Why do they got to remain nameless if they're just a family member?
Because they brought
Twice
over
removed or
the film illegally put onto a DVD. And,
okay.
Oh, you think they're gonna go after them for the Prince of Persia legal
Yeah,
download?
Jake
You never
Gyllenhaal's
know.
gonna chase them.
Jerry Bruckheimer, producer or whatever,
Savage.
Pirates of the Caribbean, coming after him. But it's that was one of the earliest memories I have when they brought this over, and we watched it, and I loved it. I really, really did. This movie was just fantastic. I've played a little bit of Sands of Time, a tiny bit of Warrior Within, but that's it. Most of my experience was just kind of going over with my friends and watching them play like Prince of Persia and just raving about it. And then, of course, for me, Assassin's Creed is the spiritual successor to Prince of Persia, and Ubisoft's kind of like egg right now, you could say. But that's for me, it's just been this world that I've always wanted to kind of inquire more, but I didn't think I'd ever get into the game. So when this movie came out, it was just a prime opportunity to really sit back, relax, and just let the good sands roll, I guess you could say. So
You could say that.
Jake Gyllenhaal is just fantastic, and I can't remember the actress's name. Astrid?
Gemma Astrid.
Oh, Gemma Astrid.
There's no S in there, Travis. It's Arterton.
No, it's Astrid. I've changed your name now.
Those are two very different pronunciations.
Either
I don't know
way,
where
her
he's getting
name's
the S
Gemma.
from.
She's the oil. I swear
Gemma
there was an
A.
S. I swear there was an S in her name. She's the oil girl from Skyfall that they drown in oil and they throw her in Bond's bed and look at this. Made an example out of her.
Is she?
Yes.
Really?
What's her
Okay.
name? Is Cherry or something like that? Something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay. She's
Ah.
like a redhead in that film, I think.
Yeah, I think she was
Yeah.
one of these people that I think Hollywood thought she was gonna become something big, and I don't. Where is she now? You know.
I know it's
an
unfortunate.
S
She
in
does
her
very
name.
similar roles because she's like the same
Yes.
person in Clash of the Titans.
I was gonna say
think
Clash
it
of Titans,
is.
like, oh, she's a fucking star. This is like her break it role. This is so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love her and everything that she does in these kind of roles. It's
Can
fantastic.
you name
Those
one
two
more
moves.
movie?
Those two moves.
Yeah. Can you name one more
The
movie?
second
too?
No,
Wrath
I
of the-
just-
Wrath of the
right
Titans
there.
probably. Yeah.
I can't even know a movie, but when I see her in these movies, it's like fuck, I love this movie. Or I love her in this movie. So
I love her. I love you. Oh
But,
man, when you go to IMDb, this is her top credit. Oh, there you go. Was she in Hansel and Gretel?
Oh,
too?
yeah,
Oh,
she was.
Other one?
yes, she was. Oh my god, with Jeremy Renner. Fuck yeah, that's
Renner.
another
She
good in that
Renner. She's
Jeremy Renner.
fantastic in that
She's like
movie.
a Kate Beckinsale wannabe in there.
She's so
Kirkland,
fucking
you sounded like
fantastic.
Brad Pitt from Snatch for a second. God, back and sell.
I know. I don't know what's going on. It's a long day today.
There you go. There's another one.
But yeah, overall, like I just think that this is I don't have the comparisons. I can't make that proper gauge with the game, but in my opinion, I just feel like it's a good, fun, very colorful, not overly flamboyant movie that has the beginning, middle, and end, a good story to it. It's just got action in between, and like just being
Overly flamboyant.
being a wee lad watching this is like, man, fuck, I want to go out, I want to do parkour, I want to start climbing things.
How'd that work out?
You said
Yeah.
you've seen this like many times too over the years.
I have this one. I told Travis this,
mainstay.
but it's kind of like a John Carter of Mars kind of sort of film for me, where it's just colorful. It's got the action. It's just like a feel good movie where I can put it on and just like really enjoy the
Feel-good
thing.
movie.
Yeah.
I did not think about that. Kirkland, by the way, her name in James Bond was Strawberry Fields.
Yeah,
That was
there you
her
go.
name.
Not related to me.
Well, you don't have an S in your name. You're just Taylor Field.
That's true.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Taylor, was she not in Wrath of Titans?
I don't remember her in Wrath of Titans.
No, that's weird. It's on her IMDb. I thought she would have come back for that one, but there you go.
Was the lead back in Wrath of the Titans, or was it just like a whole new
Yeah,
cast?
it was.
Oh,
it
was
was
eh? Okay.
Avatar boy.
With
whatever
Jake
his name
Sully.
was. Fuck, what's his real name?
I'm pulling it up.
Don't tell me. No one. He's in the biggest movie of all time, and
Oh.
no one can name the guy who was in Avatar. Don't get. Hang on.
Jake
I-
Sully.
No.
I forfeit this trivia.
Oh,
This
it's
is not
like
my field.
Jake Worthington, Sam Worthington.
Sam
There you
Worthington.
go. There you go.
Hey.
Boom.
He was a
Dylan
fisherman.
Musk. Was this okay? Yeah. Was this? Is this a feel good movie for you?
Oh, that's not what I was expecting you to ask me. That kind of throws me off. I you know what? I actually can totally understand where Taylor's coming from in saying that. But yeah, as for myself, I loved the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time as a kid. It was one of my favorites. I think it was one I got
Really?
used. And I've probably shared this before, but I remember vividly that the game was like the disc was scratched, and any time I would go into the final boss fight in the game, it would crash. So I've never beaten the game, but I certainly tried, and I loved it as a kid, and I ended up. What you had a question? Travis?
Well, I forgot you're talking about video games. So at one point in your sentence, when you said I got used, I was like, who the fuck used Dylan for like? What is this story? Like someone used you for a Prince of Persia game of like, oh, they came over and they weren't my friend.
they used
and-
me for my GameCube.
Oh yeah, and I was just gonna say, I feel like we all have a story of some game that like that was my wrestling game. I could never get to the end of the season. I would always boot to the end and boot to the beginning. I couldn't. Just sucked. Ugh.
And yeah, there's when that happened, like I felt like there was no way for me to remedy that. Like I was never gonna get another disc. Like this was just my story, and it's true. I have not ever gone back and beaten it.
Oh man, that's a side quest episode right there. You beating that boss.
that
finally.
would be fun.
They're remaking it, aren't they? Right? You're gonna get your chance. You're gonna get your chance still to beat
I
that
haven't
They
boss.
heard-
are right.
I heard they were
are.
making it, but I haven't heard that it's been like it
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
had like much progression.
No, but
It's
it's
not going well. It's not going well.
No,
But it could
at
be fun to
least-
do either way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a confirmed announcement though. It's not a rumor. The company put out said we are
true.
remaking it,
There you
so
go.
Dylan has a chance to
I'll
beat
put
this
it down
boss
on
on.
my-
There you go.
On my list. But Taylor, it's funny you mentioned Warrior within the sequel to it, because I love this one so much that I did pick that up on the GameCube, and then I remember that on the Wii they had another Prince of Persia game, and it was just Warrior within but like I guess like upres to Wii, which obviously doesn't look like any better.
So
but
downgrade.
But it had a new name, so I
Was it
thought
Two
it was
Thrones?
a new like entry in the series.
Two
But it's, like,
throats.
complete.
Two Thrones.
Okay. Fuck.
Yeah, which I think maybe it had like something added to it or something, but that was a total ripoff, and that was the last time I touched a Prince of Persia game. I was so mad at that as like 12-year-old me, whatever the age was. But yeah, going into this movie, not one I've seen before, and when you say 2010, that's crazy. I don't know. To me, it
Yeah.
seems like so much older than that. Even though I guess this Sands of Time GameCube era must have been 2003 or 4 or something like that. So I guess it's not too crazy, but I for some reason in my head I just assumed this movie was gonna be awful. Going into it over the years, hearing about it, everything. But I gotta say, like it's a totally fine movie. Like it's a good action movie with like I'm gonna say really good special effects still that like hold up for the most part. You get a bunch of fun characters in there and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think it necessarily spoke to me in a big way, but I think like on a technical level, I gotta say like it's a pretty decent movie. Like it's pretty good all things considered. But I don't think it elicited any nostalgia for me from the game or anything like that. So I can't really speak to the adaptation because it's been a long time, but it didn't really make me feel like I was back in that world that I played as a kid. But this was a fun one to watch, I gotta say. So I don't think I'll. Oh my! What is this?
The Forgotten Sands,
The
just
Forgotten
like the game.
Sands.
I
Forgotten.
forgot. Yeah, I do
Bonus.
not.
That's
Full
the-
1992 Prince of Persia game included.
Nice. In a weird,
think that's the
very
latest one.
strange choice. A red box with like white.
Yeah.
I think that's the last one that they released. Actually, I want to say.
Forgotten
Yeah, it
Sands.
has been a while.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Everyone forgot about it, stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
well, because I'm not sure where Kirklin is. I'll go next. I think I've only played it as far as a buddy being like, "Hey, I'm in the washroom. Like, here, try this out," and then I try. Like, that's it. Like, I feel like I've only.
How long
like,
was he away for? How much playtime did you
too
get?
Too long. He was reaching under bathroom counters.
No,
and stuff.
no.
Who knows what was going on in there? But the thing is, like, I don't think I've fully played it. I never like rented, never my house and stuff like that. So I always knew the guy, whatever his name, Dastin. Like he looked very 2000s, like action hero and stuff. So never seen that. And this movie, same thing. I think I've only seen in parts. I think it's only been on TV. Never seen. It's such a weird movie that it came out in 2010. So it's like what Dylan said. It's not super old. It is a decade, but still not super old. It's a Disney movie, which is just so weird
Yeah,
too. Like
that's crazy.
I guess it's more perspective now. So they're saying the first Prince of Persia game came out in 1992. That's the first one. So that's what that box says. At least that makes it a bit more. Because when I thought early 2000, like man, that's a quick turnover. Like early 2000s and 2010, they're already making a movie. But it's such in this weird dichotomy where like I feel like we're definitely getting better with video game adaptations. And this was just this is a name, it's a brand, it's semi-popular with some people, with young people. We're gonna get this, throw some stars on here. I'll only say this once because I don't want to hamper on this the whole movie. Yes, it's one of these movies, anything from this era and like 40 years before, it's all like racially insensitive because you have all these actors wearing like semi-dark skin and like I don't know what accent, that's why it's my name, what accent they have Jake Gyllenhaal trying to do here. It sounds like a mixture of Egyptian, Persian, British, like it's all over the fucking, and he doesn't even sound like himself, but not in a good way, like oh that accent, it's weird, it's off-putting. At times this movie to me feels like a Tropic Thunder movie where it's like, oh we got these guys, and I think the action's just kind of there. I think what's annoying to me is not the actual Sands of Time moment or when he hits the dagger. It's other times where they try to do slow-mo where it just doesn't work for me.
Oh,
To me it's not good. So I was at least hoping that. So for me this is like I haven't found out where I am, but for me, I couldn't say it's a good movie or like an enjoyable one to the sense of it wasn't a bad movie. This is definitely not one of the worst movies I've ever watched. It was like, okay, I got through, but I also watched it in a couple parts, so that helped. But it wasn't, it feels very much the way you talk about your early 2000s. You're like, this feels very 2000s, very Scorpion King. There was another movie that came out with, Ray Liotta, and he was like a wizard or something. And Jason Statham. Does anyone remember that Jason Statham fantasy movie they did? They like dropped Jason Statham in a fantasy movie. And it was like, this doesn't work at all. Like it just has these things. So
was that in the Name of the King?
I think that's what it is. I've never seen it.
That's
Just
a good one.
I remember that movie was on so many previews. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching this unless you really like some of the actors in here. It's a movie you've seen a bunch of times, but it's cool that it kind of exists. It's one of the like earlier video game adaptions. So I think it's like meh to find somewhere in there. But yeah, Kirklin, where are you on it? First of all, what's your history with the game, and then continue on if you saw the movie.
I think my cousin had Sands of Time on PS2, and we would just play games together. And it's a single player game, so you just kind of like sit there and watch the other person play as you would do back in the day. And I loved it. Again, this was like pre Assassin's Creed, so I'd never really like seen a game like this. Again, the graphics are probably terrible when I look back on them, but at the time it was a 3D game, kind of like it had like parkour elements, and I think like the rewind mechanic, it's not just like, oh, you died, try again. It's like, okay, you fail, but you get like the Sands of Time. It's like a lore implemented retry, and I feel like at the time it was so new to me, and it blew my mind, and I loved it. But I didn't have like a PS2, so I couldn't like buy the game on my own, so I only played it in like fragments. I remember I was just getting really stuck. I don't even think it was like the final battle. It was just like a particular fight, and we were just getting bodied by it, and I don't remember ever getting past that point. Fast forward down the line, I remember going to a buddy's house, and he had, it was either Warrior Within or like Two Thrones. It was just like it was like a cool cover, and it was like Prince of Persia. I'm like, holy shit! Like this, I played this before, and so I've always been interested
in the bathroom
in it.
with my buddy. Was he in there too?
Might have been, yeah. I had an extended time to.
Reaching under.
So I always was like interested in the game series, but unfortunately, just for whatever it was, it just didn't line up for me to like actually get my own copy to like play through it.
This
but
remake's
I was
prime for a review for us all, to jump in there,
I saw something on there. It's like pre-order now to get these sets. It's like those sorry bastards that pre-ordered for it. But so yeah, I guess fast forward to the movie. I actually very vividly remember like seeing this. I saw it in theaters with my sister. So 2010, that was like her grad year. So I feel like this was like one of the last times that like her and I, while she was living at home, like we went and just saw a movie together. It was a weird converging of the spheres for that to work out, but nonetheless, it gave me a memory of it. And I remember really liking the movie the first time I go around. I feel like I've seen it maybe once or twice like since then, but just like background. So I didn't really like fully digest it. So going into it, I don't know. I figured I was gonna be maybe able to point out some missteps here and there, but for the most part, just like be able to enjoy it for sure. And as I was going through it, I definitely like it a lot less now, unfortunately. I'm not like, if it's on, maybe I'll just just have it on watching that. In the era that we are now, it's usually streaming, so I would like select a show to watch, but so it probably wouldn't just be on TV or something for me to watch. But yeah, I completely understand why like me back in 2010 would have really loved this movie.
Absolutely.
Because
this
it's
is a cool movie for a youngin'.
Yeah, exactly. Like the slow-mo fight scenes that I just really didn't like now. It was cool at the time, some got handsome Jake Gyllenhaal just getting the attractive lady on it. Like it was just a fun movie to watch for sure. And yeah, quite a lot of action. But and it's funny that I was asking or mentioning that like Gemma, I think that was the actress's name.
Yeah,
I see her as the character from Clash of the Titans.
It's she was in Clash.
I keep trying to say
Wrath
Clash
is
of Clans. That's like the phone app, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans.
That movie's coming soon.
And I love that movie as a kid too. So it's like it's just a very similar type movie like that. And I ate these up as a kid, and I don't know. I feel like it's made me just love these types of like action adventure movies. I have like a soft spot in my heart for them. I always try and like throw them on like a rainy day, and Shay hates that genre of movies, so you usually don't win that battle. But so I unfortunately don't love this movie anymore, but there was a point in time when I had a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I thought it was a solid like movie from the game. I never was like watching it, I'm like, oh, they did that so well, because that's exactly from the game. Like I always just I saw them as two different like entities, but I don't know, it's not the most egregious thing that we've had to go through in retros by any means, but definitely have some grimes that I'm excited to unpack with you guys.
Yeah, well, all right, well, let's take our first ad break, and then we're gonna break this down, so we'll be right back. And we're back. So where we want to start with this? Actually, I got one question, because you were talking about this, a lot of tribute to the games, and definitely they do like the parkour moments. They jump down. I wanted to see if I was alone on this, because maybe I would. I've never played the game, so I don't know how this. Like, I don't remember at all how the dagger works. Like, I know how, but I mean, like the actual like how it looked in the game. Because for me, I felt like every time they were doing the dagger on the back and forth, just something about it felt off, and it didn't feel the smoothest for me, like the going back in time and everything like that. And the CGI looked fine. He had CGI, whoever was like floating and whatnot. But I feel like that could have done smoother. And I think that's something like if it gets ever done nowadays, it could look a little bit better. But that, I'm guessing that's pretty close to how it works in the games, right?
Yeah, I mean, as Kirklin mentioned, like it's a very smart game mechanic in the sense that it's like instead of dying and reloading a save and like watching a load screen and then like getting back in this area, it's like a brilliant mechanic for a platformer game where a precision platformer where if you mess up this very tight time you just immediately go back. From what I can recall, I want to say the screen goes like black and white, but that's like this is my
I think you're
2005
right.
brain.
It changes some
Right.
form of colorization. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't even remember much of like action sequences. When I think of that game, it is like the parkour and stuff like that. Or at least that's often when you'd be using the rewind mechanic as you like messed up a jump or you didn't hit the right button prompt or something like that. So, but it's funny you mention that because that's when I was watching this movie, I felt like that is a great game mechanic. It makes sense there. But in terms of the movie, I didn't feel like there was ever really a compelling scene with that rewind mechanic. Like I don't think it was ever used particularly well. It looked a bit funky. I guess that wasn't the part that bothered me, but I felt like we never got like a very exciting scene or character moment. They definitely tried a few times with the snake or when he like kills himself, that kind of stuff, but none of it really worked for me that well.
Yeah, I remembered the snake scene being so much more satisfying, like in hindsight. So then in here, it just happens like really quick. Because I remember thinking like, oh yeah, he goes back and then he like sees all the snakes coming at the same time. But it just happens so fast.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, that really wasn't satisfying. And
Now, when
yeah,
that
like
snake like lands on his torch and like swallows.
oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, just swallow. Yeah,
So good.
yeah.
And-
No,
and-
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say too, like even just like I get it if he's replayed that sequence like 100 times to just perfect that like combo to take out all the snakes. But I'm like, really, one try, he knows the timing of all of these snakes. We're stretching there, but
Yeah, that's where I feel
digress.
like today age, like in an action movie, this would be you'd get then a huge set piece would be dealt around this. It felt like it was just there.
arithmetic starts playing, Quicksilver's.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Now, probably not anymore, or they would just do that. But I feel that's the thing where, like you said, Dale, nothing too. I think the only scene it is always used for story, but it's always just like this could happen. Really, I don't believe you, and then it happens. Like, oh, I believe you. Like it happens with him, it happens with the uncle, it happens with his brother, and stuff like that. Which I just love. There's always this recurring thing whenever the brothers believe him. Like before we get the big time jump, he like talks to him like, I would never kill Dad. All right, I believe you. They walk out of this hut. He just gets littered with arrows, and then we jump to his other brother. He's like, I believe you. You're not a coward. And then like. Uncle slices his throat. Like every time they got this character development, I'm like, oh, we're getting the crew together. No, it's like it's Jake Gyllenhaal's show. We killed them off like right away till we get to the end. But I forgot to say at the beginning, shout out to Summer Hansey, who this was her Patreon pick. She was the one that submitted this to the poll. So there you go. I hope you're happy. I'm sure you probably just put it in because of Jake Gyllenhaal. But yeah, it could have been used better, the reverse time thing a lot.
I was just gonna add on to like I feel like they do a good job at like the significance of just the using of it. Like you can't just use it for every
Yes.
fight. Like you have very limited amount of sand. And I do like how he just uses it all up on the very first time. Like because he does it accidentally, essentially goes back and then he's like, what the hell happens? She actually slices his whole chest. I don't know how he didn't react to that. That would fucking hurt. His man meat was
it
just
got worse.
exposed.
Yeah.
But then he just does it. And
Man
then for
meat.
the third one, like she kind of like I can't remember. Was it the third one that he used it all up, or was it depleted by that time? Like he used it twice, right?
Yeah, he used
Something like that.
Something like
I
that.
think it was close to being either it was close to being done or it was done. Yeah, because he caught
Some
the
of-
hand.
Yeah, something like that. So it's like, okay, like that's all the uses that you get. Like I feel like that's really cool. Like you figure out how the power works, but then you just can't use it because you have no more sand. You know, later on it's revealed that she's got a little bit more in her
What
bosom.
You got down there.
Oh my god, that camera angle where it's just
Fuck.
like 5 seconds of just
We're in the
directly-
2010s right here.
Oh yes, oh yes. I remember why I like these movies.
I thought that part, like just that element of it was funny that he had to like refill it and stuff. And like when he's doing it, I think when he like first gets the sand back, and you can see that he's just spilling some up the side. I'm like, man, that is an incredibly valuable resource, and he is just like messy with it. It's just spooling out the sides. Like, dude, you gotta cherish every last grain of this special sand. What are you doing?
Yeah. What about you two? How did the Sands of Time work? Which that helps me. Why? Because the game's called Sands of Time. I was annoyed. I was like, this is the first movie. You should just call it Prince of Persia and save those sequels. Like, it's a long title, like the Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time, stuff like that. It's like, why? Don't need it, but it happened.
I love the whole like mechanic of using the dagger and just like transporting through time, and I like that. I was just the baseline, like, oh yeah, so the shady uncle just wants to get this dagger and use the power and just go back and save it, so he didn't save his brother from the predatory attack, basically. And I like that was kind of like the narrative, right? I mean, it's definitely, in retrospect now, it's weak, but I mean, it's justification. I mean, it's just that kind of like cliche, like, oh yeah, my brother got to be king and I didn't, that kind of a thing. But as far as though it goes with the scenes of him activating the dagger, going back in time, just and stuff, I think it's great. That snake scene definitely gets me every freaking time. It's so fantastic. I'm with you, Kirkland, though. It's definitely like, if I was in that situation and I did it, like, I would know maybe one of the snakes, but the other four are fucking me up.
You're getting bit. You're getting a lot of venom in you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an absolute lost cause for me. But still, very, very cool.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Jake as a lead here, Taylor? You like him in the role?
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I don't know anything about Dastan from the games, but I just look at Dastan. I just look at him, the picture of him, and I look at Jake, and I go, I think they just hired a pretty boy, which I think in this era, that's what Jake was. He was just a pretty boy guy. He wasn't doing, like, he had done Brokeback Mountain. He had done some pieces like that. And I guess I guess he had already done Zodiac. So I guess this is just like every once in a while he does these big box office ones and stuff. Like, I think this was like in this career moment though, where he wasn't sure like what he was gonna be. Was he gonna be this great actor? Or was he gonna be a big blockbuster guy?
Maybe you love the game. You never know, right?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know why he took the role. I should have looked it up, but
I really enjoyed him in this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Like his character, again, I don't have much I can associate with the game, but his character in the movie, at least, I found that his family, well, what remains of his family as the story kind of progresses, just easily turned on him pretty quickly. And again, it wasn't looking good for him, like in guilt sense, but I just feel like him just kind of being turned and put on the run was just such a quick turn of events. But again, it's the narrative. It's what they were running with, which is totally fine. I liked how he was like this adopted son into the realm of royalty. Again, I don't know if that's how it is in the game, if this character is that like adopted into it, but
very quickly, he was very just like, oh yeah, I could use a son like you, even though I got two, and he's in. That's it.
yeah, just fuck these other two sons I have.
I'm gonna adopt this thief.
I was expecting like a Cinderella dynamic too, where like these actual sons just hate them or hate him, but it's not really like that. You got the one brother that is a little bit upset with him at times, but I feel like for the most part, like Prince Tuss, he loves Dastan. Like there's just a good dynamic there. It seemed unnecessary to have like the adoptive son thing coming in, but if that's the game tie-in, I guess that makes sense. But I couldn't recall it all.
The actor that played that one brother, oh man, I know him from something.
It's getting Mr. Tumnus vibes from this guy. I don't know what it was.
Like the good brother, the nice one, I guess.
Oh, the bad
black
guy.
hair.
Toby Kebbell, yeah. He plays Koba in Planet of the Apes, the newest
Right.
ones. He's
Who is he
Doom
in-
in Fan
He was
Four
Doom in. Oh shit!
Yeah,
He's in
yeah.
Warcraft.
Yeah, he is in Warcraft. Yeah, he talk about a guy who's been in a lot of potentially big things. Like this guy was cast as Doctor Doom once, and it just didn't work out for him.
He's in Kong Skull Island. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
he is. He's the one with the son. And he's like looking at he's like writing a letter to his kids.
my
Like
God, this
he's
guy's
in
a huge star.
He's
Wrath
in so
of the
much
Titans.
stuff. He's in Wrath Titans.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's in so much stuff, but he's never hit, unfortunately, for Toby Kebbell.
It's funny you mention Warcraft because I was looking through the IMDb page. We used to do like trivia and stuff for these retros, which we just kind of do sometimes. I could not find a single like interesting like note about this, but
Yeah.
I saw on the IMDb it won an award, and I was like, "What award did this movie win?" And it was
It's a
the
Razzie.
most expensive video game movie made at the
Oh,
time, which
really?
was fun. And I think that got overruled by Warcraft. So this guy's jumping between the most expensive video game movies ever made. There you go.
He's got awards on his shelf. I saw the
Yeah.
budget was $185 million
In 2010. In
it made
2010.
90 domestic.
Yeah.
Not great. 336.4 million USD.
So it broke even. It probably
Yeah.
at this point has made money, but there's a reason it didn't get a sequel because that's not like 180. Like that's what people spend on Marvel movies nowadays.
Yeah.
You spend on Prince of Persia. What were they thinking?
When I saw those numbers, I mean, yeah, maybe there's other hidden costs that I'm not seeing, but it didn't seem like that bad to me. You know, I part of it too. It seems like this movie went through a lot of change of directors and writers
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. Like, I feel like if they went ahead with a sequel, and you know, we're probably hopefully set in stone at that point of like, this is the writer, this is the director, everyone's coming back, assuming everyone wanted to come back for it. I don't know. I feel like they could have made it probably a lot cheaper and maybe done something with it, but I don't know. It seems like that's pretty decent for a video game movie at the time, but I'm sure most of that audience didn't even realize it was a video game movie.
100%. I was gonna say I don't know because like you're supposed to by rule of thumb kind of like take every movie budget and double it for its like print and advertising. But like I feel like this one could be one of those triple ones because I do remember feeling this was like all over when this movie was coming out, like seeing previews for it and posters, and that did get me to go and see and everything like that. But I feel like it was just around, and it like I said, it's just so weird that Disney has. And you look at the guy who directed Mike Newell, like he did to me what is the best Harry Potter Goblet of Fire. And it's funny, like there's times where like some of the choppiness of the ending like feels like that, but it feels like the best way I would describe it is like, and I'm sure it didn't have the same editor, but if you look at the maze scene in Goblet of Fire, there's some choppiness to it, but I think in a good way because it's supposed to be very quick cuts and almost claustrophobic.
The what scene? Sorry.
In the maze at the very end when they're all running. Yeah. So I feel like that works, and I feel like like lots of the fight scenes are the ones like that don't work. Like the one between the fucking one of the snake guys and the spear throwing guys that's with Alfred Molina. That whole scene it's not good. There's slow motion. There's lots of like it's just like lots of these fight scenes are really kind of clunky and stuff like that. So, but the guys directed some good stuff over the years and everything like that. So it had the recipe. Ben Kingsley's a good actor, has the recipe to kind of do something. But I think it's just probably at that point, like you were talking about dealing with it, going through so many people, it just didn't really have a vision. Just kind of became like a hired hand.
I think it was originally the writer of the game was actually writing this as well, which that's quite a different type of thing to write. But yeah, I don't think he was by the end of it, by the time it released and that final script was in hand. It sounds like also a lot of things were changing like while they were filming, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
Just changing up scripts and doing different things. So I'm sure that all led to an inflated budget in some ways.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure what didn't change was the twist of Ben Kingsley, aka the twist. I was gonna say, did anyone think that Ben Kingsley was not the bad guy and stuff like that? Because
when I was young, it fooled me. Me a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably fooled me when I was young. Also, this was Shay's first time watching it. She said she was gonna be reading while I was on, but I feel like the Jake Gyllenhaal effect got her eyes on screen.
Not the Ben Kingsley.
She called it like instantly. I'm like, who do you think the villain is? Do you think it's this guy? I was trying to throw her off with some red herrings. No, it's it's the uncle. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't like say yes or no in the moment. It's like, oh, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But then you get the very unclimactic reveal, and she was correct.
Yeah, that's where it feels like 2000s, like that plot line. We have the brothers, but they're both all doing their own thing. At the uncle, and they give this quick explanation that he could have saved his brother, or could have let his brother die from some like lion attack, and he regrets it and stuff. And and I think I don't know what I don't like about it is. Okay, at the beginning of the movie, they all seem very close. Especially Dawson feels very close with his uncle, but then at the end, his uncle's just completely mustached, I couldn't believe he adopted trash like you. It's just like really there was
his
there's
lines,
there was like no
redeeming qualities.
Yeah, there was just nothing there. Like I would have liked it better if there was some connection, but he still won the power. So, but Kingsley's there and he does the best with it. So.
That was something that I was kind of surprised on, like how bummed I was about it, because I knew he was the villain obviously, but like he just has no redeeming qualities. Like even his motivation, like I'm gonna go back in time and stop myself from saving my brother in this lion attack because I regret saving it because I would have been king. It's very hard to like obviously root for a character like that. He's a complete asshole to Dastan.
Can't really relate to him.
No, not really. Fortunately, I cannot. So yeah, and it just I feel like that, and then the action sequences, there was some stuff in there for sure, but like just the slow-mo stuff, I was just like checked out on it, and these things that I thought was going to be working for me, it just really didn't. And the villain was a big one for me, especially like, I don't know when that reveal happens. I feel like it's probably over half the movie when you find out that it is the uncle, or something close to that. So just to be playing this like little song and dance, it's like, oh, it was him all along, and this is his motivation. Like, really? Oh, okay, it didn't really work for me. And I love too at the end when like Dastan like knows everything. He's calling him out. He's like, oh, maybe that's the case. And then it's like, maybe we'll go to trial. And he just like pulls a sword on Dastan after like Prince Tuss is like, okay, we'll let it. We'll talk to the thief or whoever. Yeah, we'll investigate. Does not go to trial. This guy was shooting Dastan in the crowd.
Like, you could even maybe escaped and made like a second tier plan or something, because the whole time Dastan's like explaining this, and the uncle's just like, no, I don't think it's that way. No, I don't think it's that way. No, or it could be this way. And then like
he's like playing it cool.
Yeah, he's like, okay. And like he said, the brother's like, we'll find the thief, and that'll decide the truth. They walk away, and he just tears out that. And
he doesn't go to jail because Prince Tuss just stabs him right there in the crowd. So it's like he just died. Okay.
And know what's even funny too? Like, I first what I thought they were gonna do is he pulls the sword and then the brother turns, so he missed who initiated the thing. So it's like, oh, they're still gonna play this down the middle, but no, they all like, no, the uncle's bad. We're gonna fucking kill him. Like, so it's like, why did he not see him pull a sword? It was very thrown together. Even though I actually really like that they jumped all the way back to the beginning of the movie and everyone's alive. I for some reason did like that, and I think they could have played around with that a bit more, because when he went back and realized, oh shit, I'm here, I thought we were gonna get a bit more of a slow burn, have some more interactions. It was that to 100 of like, we shouldn't have invaded the city, we're bad, uncle's bad, this is the case. You have to, so I liked that idea of it, but it wasn't executed the greatest. But yeah, I liked going back. So
my favorite minigame when I watch anything now is like how many people that are in the MCU are in this movie. And of course, we got Ben Kingsley, but also got 2 Spider-Man villains. That's kind of a fun connection, right? Between Mysterio and Dr. Octopus in there. That's kind of a fun little connection there.
Yeah. Alfred Molina, just talk about like a racial bad call when you're looking at him with the hair.
A lot of whitewashing in this movie across the board.
For some reason, he stands out because I feel like he's just like playing the accent up a lot too, and it's like, oof, and he's done this before in Indiana Jones. It's like, again, it's just that's what happened back in the day. But and even then, I wonder how much they paid for him, because like, he's like still a bigger actor, but he's not even in the movie that much. He just like pops. I don't know. It was a strange.
I think his name was close to the top too in the casting, like at the credits or whatever. That it's like while it was on screen, I don't know what it was. I couldn't picture like who it was. I'm like, this guy is so familiar. I didn't want to Google it. I knew it was gonna come to me, and then like 65% through the movie, I'm like, oh my god, it's Doc Ock. Like, of course,
that's the same thing for me, man. Yeah, he just looks so different than usual, and even just the way he's like always smiling and like, I don't know, he's very like fidgety and stuff in this movie. To me, like very transformative. Like, what a performance, in that way.
He reminded me of like the greasy slimeball character from The Mummy, who's like being all creepy with. No, not Benny. The plump fellow. He's the one that like he arrested O'Connell.
Oh, with the scallops.
He dies to the yeah. It's like a very similar like type of character. I feel
much better version of this movie.
And I was seeing so many like parallels to the Mummy in this. I'm like, I feel like they were trying to capture that, and it just. Maybe at the time it worked, but
you need to watch, because I doubt you remember. You need to watch Scorpion King, because Scorpion King is very similar. That's the Rock one. Same thing. Like the woman's like a fortune seer, stuff like that. He gets like framed for a murder. Like, it's almost scarily close to being the same movie. There's no time travel. It's scorpions instead, but still, it's wild.
What's his chant? What's the Rock's chant?
Akuma Shente! That gave us Black Adam.
I love every time you say that.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was going with that. Oh, the Alfred Molina thing. What were we talking about before that? Or did Taylor have something?
We're talking about the uncle. Yeah,
I don't know if there's much else to say there.
Oh, the going back in time thing. This was something. It was just wiped out of my memory. Like, I do not remember this happening. So when it actually happened, I was like, oh my god! Like, the movie's not over. Like, we're gonna get this. Everybody's still alive.
Another 2 hours.
I didn't think that. I was hoping not for that. This was a 1 hour and 58-minute movie, and I feel like it was still a little bit too long. But I don't know. It didn't sit well with me. Of just like, oh, we just forget about all of this, like things that didn't happen. I don't know. I feel like I've had stories where stuff like that has happened and it's just worked for me. But in this one, it just left me a little bit unsatisfied. Just there was no big meaning to the deaths. Well, obviously, like all the deaths didn't really happen, but specifically the moments like Travis, you're kind of joking about. But like when every time the brother would like see Dastan's side. And it's like, oh, it's okay. And then they die instantly. It's like, oh, that didn't matter.
No.
But then not only did that not matter, by the end, like none of those
None of them
conversations even
matter.
happened because we just go back to the front of the movie. I don't know why I said the front of the movie, the beginning of the movie. And it just, I don't know. It didn't leave me satisfied. And I don't know if I'm alone there. What about you guys? Travis didn't think so. So what do you guys
Yeah,
think?
like
Taylor,
I don't think it was
yeah.
executed the best. I think you could have done more. But yeah, I didn't mind it.
I definitely didn't mind it. When we went
Yeah.
back, I thought, okay, this is very bold. The thing that upset me was like, oh, then we have Dastan's like love relationship has just kind of fell into cahoots. But then they kind of like hint at it, like, oh, he's being respectful, and she's like,
She like
lashes
picks up
his
like
chest
right
again.
away. Yeah.
yeah, she's back in the game there with him. So
And we got the weird like fucking like she's back in the game and it's like the arranged marriage like right off the bat. Like I give you my brother and it's just like there's no she doesn't push back
Yeah,
against
it's the
it at
times,
all.
right?
it's the
Historical.
sands of times. Yeah.
The sands of time.
God. Dylan, any
Yeah,
thoughts on the time travel? Yeah.
Not really. I don't know. I think you guys kind of covered it there. But, I mean, that's another thing too. Just like that love story in general is one of those things that from like the first 10 seconds of this movie, like you just know exactly
Yeah.
what's gonna happen
But
there.
why? When they kiss, I was just like, why is this happening? This just felt like one of these movies. Like, I don't think they've had enough time to even be alone. Of like, I get it in the 2000s where it's not even like, oh, you gotta have similar likes or dislikes or career or future. It's just like, oh, that's two hot people vibing. But I didn't even feel like that happened in this movie. I felt like they didn't get a chance to really have a bunch of fun, cute scenes together or anything, or just be flirty. It happened
Like when they're in the chamber at the bottom, that kiss you didn't like?
no, like their first
'cause
kiss.
The first like kit was a fake out, right? Where they're like about to,
Okay.
and then someone interrupts.
I meant
Do you
in
mean by
the-
that point, or
No,
or by,
I mean like the
actual-
real kiss, like when
I
they're
feel like by the real kiss, like okay, I think we had the moments
Really?
at this point. I feel like that first fake out though to me was like a bit too soon, even though I've as I said I kind of knew it was coming.
Give me your 5 favorite scenes of them. Go. Why they could come? No, there's just some, I was just something like I just didn't. I could buy they were working together, but I just didn't buy they were that together.
Which was the first kiss? Was it the one I'm talking about, like in the chamber? Or am I just completely
the
forgetting
fake
about
outs by the horse, right? When
Yeah,
she does,
I
they
remember
do
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first kisses, they're on the way to get something before he fights Ben Kingsley on a bunch of rocks, and it's them, and behind them's like a big CGI gold, like that.
Yeah, that was in the
thing.
chamber.
Is that?
I was
don't
fine.
know if
I
it
was fine
the
with that
chamber.
kiss because you have like the assassin dudes like almost kill one of them. It's one of the moments like we almost just died. Let's just kiss right here. I feel like I've seen that in multiple like current movies and it works for me.
I guess just didn't work for me.
Near death experience, man, makes you want to lock lips.
Yeah, but also doesn't create good relationships. That's a speed fact. So, let's take our second ad break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Taylor, I'm sure you love this favorite top 10 romances. It's meant to be.
Top 10 romances.
in his top 10 romance.
Yeah.
arrangement.
7.
It's definitely
That's
it's sensual, at times, stuff like that. I'm
It's
definitely
not
down for these.
sensual.
I'm
It's
down
just
for
him
these.
being like a fucking misogynistic male with his family. Like, he just puts her down a bunch. And now,
He's
granted,
respectful.
that happens, but I just needed a bit more. I don't know if he was, because at one point someone talks about killing her. He's like, "Yeah, I've thought about it myself." Like, now I just wanted
Before the whole journey, right?
I mean, she
I just wanted
also
more
tries to
emotional
kill him
scenes.
multiple times. Like I feel like there's just
He
like,
invaded her city, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, but there's just a lot of turmoil from both sides of it. I guess
It was the
where
norm
I'm
back
coming
then.
from.
Like that's just like back then. You talked about killing other people. I guess because it's very war stricken and everything like that.
Well, like,
I'm
even
sure there's a
after
lot
the-
more worse men out there today than there is in
I
Dastan.
guess, but like,
It's true.
I hope not. But like, I guess you could be right. But like, my favorite thing
He is right. Then Dastan? Come on. That's some documentaries.
I know, you're right. But like, my favorite thing is after the time jump when he's just like, his brother, who's the king now, he's like, "Sorry, we invaded you on wrong information, but I'm willing to come to agreement, and you'll marry my brother."
Hell
and
yeah.
also, and it's also just like you probably killed at least a few dozen of the people here, and he's just like, "Sorry, it
Her
was a
fiance
mistake."
was murdered in the battle.
Yeah, I had bad info. It's just like, and she's just like, "It happens," and it's like, "What?"
That's fair.
Do you think she knew about the whole dagger thing though? Like that he was
At the
able to
end?
like.
Yeah.
I was
Well, like,
waiting for that line, like you used it, because she knows of it to some extent, but I don't know. Like
I think she
I was
had hinty
okay.
eyes enough that
Yeah.
she let on that she knew.
I wasn't in love with like the whole time travel thing, but I feel like I was sold enough on like just Dastan being like very like he went through a life-changing experience and like this is why he's a different person that conquered. And they even like discussed that briefly, you know, but it was enough for me to kind of buy
And
in
it's
on
gonna
it.
be like, we in this previous timeline
We did this really freaky thing.
Oh yeah,
You
we
really
did
liked
some
it.
things.
First
I
night.
really liked it.
Yeah.
The sands.
You
of
allowed me
smoking.
to have multiple wives. Yeah, your sister was there as well. But yeah,
the Disney movie.
yeah. She's like, I gotta marry this fucking asshole now. I can't wait to kill him and say, oh, I killed him on wrong information. I'm sorry, King. Can I have a mulligan? God, who else is there to talk about?
Well,
what are we
I
doing
haven't
next?
really spoken about Gyllenhaal specifically yet, but I mean,
No.
to me, it's like that's the difference between all of these other movies that I think about Man Thing we watched recently, where it's like, man, this lead has zero charisma and it makes this whole movie just fall flat. Whereas you have Gyllenhaal just doing a very, as you mentioned, the accent strange. But I just love how zany and aggressive and like confident like he is. He's just such a fun character going on the ride. Like I think about something like Nightcrawler. Like sometimes Jake Gyllenhaal can just be so weird and
Oh, yeah.
in like the best way possible. So I thought he to me is what like kind of carries this to a point. Obviously, it's not carrying it to be the best movie of all time or anything like that, but to make it like just at least a fun ride to go through the whole time. So a shout out to him there. You know, obviously he's a great actor, so it's not surprising, I suppose. But yeah,
I agree. He's a good anchor, and I think if he's not in here, this makes it a lot less enjoyable. And I think
You got Man Thing actor as the role. Oof.
oh man, he was
Yeah.
he was runner up. He was runner up, and then they got some bad information. But like, I yeah, for me, it's just I wish they actually just didn't do the accent. I know they were trying to like, I don't know, make him Persian, I guess. But I just wish they just because I feel like it takes some of his charisma away. But and then he smiles and it works. So
What's your Persian accent like?
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna fall.
That's
in
the
that
right
trap.
answer, Travis. Yeah. I had the recording ready.
Yeah, that was all my
it's an
GeekVerse
uncommon
shares
accent.
were
I feel
gone.
like that's not one people have practiced usually.
No, so that's
not
how
even Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, like that's how I understand. It's not even like a British one or anything. It's like we need you to do a Persian accent, and that's why I also feel like everyone's accent's different. Like from Kingsley to Gemma to Jake, they all sound like they're in different countries.
And the brothers,
Yeah,
everyone
the brother,
was
like,
different.
It's all and Alfred Molina just sounds like Alfred Molina, but doing an Egyptian accent. So it's just like, who was the dialect coach on this movie? And I imagine they didn't care about that because it's just about the action and like. Yeah, he looks like the video game character. You got the hair, you got the armor and stuff. I feel like he wasn't shirtless enough in this movie, though. I was waiting for more shirtless. Like I always see Dastan in the games; he's always shirtless. I feel like, and I feel like he
Yeah.
wasn't shirtless.
Cut
either,
off
so-
sleeves, really.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a bit of a gut.
They probably didn't want him to get a sunburn. That's their star.
True,
You know?
yeah,
It's pretty hot
100%.
out there.
going out with sickness and everything like that. Yeah. The only thing I gotta because I don't even think I have my notes, but I forgot to mention. So in that kiss scene, what happens later on? We get this moment where. She's falling. She says, whatever for the good of mankind, just let me go and stuff. And yeah. He drops her, saves her, all this stuff. And actually, I guess I got some questions because maybe I missed something. But the most unbelievable part I found in this movie, and maybe he's a warrior at some point, but like I feel like the age difference between Kingsley and Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty significant. And when they're fighting over the dagger, and there's just multiple times where Kingsley's going mano a mano with the Prince of Persia, I was like, I don't believe this at all. Like he's just like he's kicking his ass.
Doesn't
he's
show all his
throwing him.
cards.
But I guess, but it was just strange. So you guys could mention that. But also, what I was gonna say is, so he wanted to go back in time to be king, right? But they were trying to say something like if you went back too far, it would create Armageddon or something, right? Was that the premise? Because I was trying to understand what was the difference of Ben Kingsley wanting to go back, and obviously it's years, but then Jake wanting to go back a few weeks. Is there like a time barometer? Of like a few weeks is fine, but years is too much?
I took it as like the way that he wanted to use it would like it has the potential to fracture like just all of existence, and then because it got to the situation where the blade was in that giant crystal thing, like it was already kind of happening. I don't know exactly why like
I don't know what happened
why
in that scene.
why Jake like actually was the one that like got ported through, and it went to like a just perfect time in history
Cheat
for
codes.
his sake. Cheat
Yeah,
codes
100%.
came in there.
And
It's a
also,
little
while you're going
unclear.
to, did Ben Kingsley also know that he had this information, or was
Yeah.
he the? Okay, I
that
took
was
that
that
way
was
too.
explained because the people that he was working with, like I don't know if it was, I don't think it was the assassins, but just some people that he was working with were actually like they had the same tattoos as what's her face, the princess.
Mhm.
So it was like they like turned, like they were corrupted. I don't know, priests and priestesses, whatever.
No,
whatever
I
they
mean
was.
when Kingsley went back in time, did he have all the memories like Jake did when he
Oh,
went
no.
back in time? See,
No,
I
he
took
didn't.
it like he did because he was the way he was so antsy. Also, because I feel like if you go back to the beginning of the movie, his uncle's very kind to him and very meek mannered and stuff. So I felt like because they were both getting sucked up, that he knew. So that's why he was trying to cover really quickly because he knew that Jake was going to spill everything. But that's
I
how
took
I
it
feel
as like,
I
how
feel
the
he
fuck
would've
do you
been
know?
Like this. I feel like he would have been like this. He's like, what the fuck just happened? Where's my dagger?
But I guess it's just because But here's my example. Exhibit B is when Jake is he's fucking running through the Persian people. Like he's like, move, move, move. Like he's trying to get to his uncle. And when or he's trying to get to his brother, when his uncle sees him, he looks very distraught. I feel like you would just think, oh, that's just that. Like he has no idea that he would think that Dastan has no idea that he knows the plan. But to me, the way Kingsley was playing that looked like he was like, oh fuck, he's gonna get to the brother before me, and he knows everything. So maybe I read too much into it, but yeah, that's why I took it. That he. But again, at the end, seeing how they all got there, I have no idea how
Yeah.
it all worked out. So
I just took it like he was like he had no prior history to what happens in the future, and then he was just saying things, and he was kind of hoping that he could just play it off there, and he kept being like,
No.
"This is your savior. Ah, let's get some hooting and hollering. Like, where's my finest? Or where's my finest? Where's my firstborn? It's been too long since I've seen that movie. Yeah, so I took it that way. I don't know. Dylan, were you same as us or?
I think I'm on your guys'
Yeah.
side of it, but Travis made some compelling points there. I wonder if they knew. You know, I wonder if they changed it midway through. I wonder with the performance. You know, like I wonder where it is on that.
They couldn't decide, so like just play it off like you
just
don't exactly
play it right
know.
in the middle. It could be either way. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, it would have been so confusing just being like a foot soldier there. Just like, what is this guy talking about? Like, we just won. And all of a sudden,
Yeah, what is he barking
like
off
the
about?
prince and like the uncle are just like Mortal Kombat right then and there. It's like, who do we help? And then Prince Tusk just
There's that
stabs him.
beautiful slow-mo shot where the uncle is tossed over the ledge, and then it's just that like it's a 3-second shot of Destin jumping over the staircase,
Like
but it's
Spider-Man.
slow-mo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slow-mo. It's like, ooh, that's a little rough, but
There, I mean, slow mo was used quite a bit in the action, but there was a couple like leaps that Dastan did, especially when they're like first taking the city. It's just this like slow mo shot of him like running and then like leaping. I swear, like 15 feet gap, and he is just. I thought he was just becoming a superhero there.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud.
I thought the parkour was like a lot of fun in this movie
Yeah.
actually, which is good because that's what the game is
Yeah.
all about. But I found it particularly funny in like the opening sequence when he's still a kid. And just the cuts to like the obvious stunt doubles and stuff like that
Yeah.
who are actually jumping around and moving. I saw too actually apparently like the guy who invented parkour, which I don't know what that means. Like I'm guessing the guy who invented that term was like an advisor on this movie. And
Really?
I don't think he was a stunt double. Maybe he just like planned out the moves or something like that. I'm sure parkour has existed for hundreds of thousands of years, but I mean,
the Prince of
maybe
Persia
this
times.
guy created the name of it or something like that. But it's kind of cool that they went to maybe that was the budget. Maybe this guy's like, yeah, 50 million if you want my services. I'm the godfather of parkour.
He's
On
on the
the-
trademarked it.
on that note of the opening sequence there, skipping forward from when he was a kid towards the battle where they're attacking the city, when the part where he's like scaling the walls and like the weapons are like going
the
into the
arrows?
walls, the arrows, and he's
Yeah.
climbing up and stuff. I really like that. That was very cool.
It seemed
It's
like,
like-
very lucky the whole
I was-
time. I mean, the arrows are bouncing off. He's almost getting hit and everything. But it seemed like, I mean, obviously it worked, so it was a good plan. But it felt like a very, very risky plan.
I thought that because it's like to base your entire invasion plan on like the fact that you have these dudes that are just hitting these pinpoint shots, and the bolts are just gonna stay there, like carrying his weight. You know, get some movie magic in there, whatever. But like, he was already on the pole. Like, why not just take the pole all the way up to the top? You know, we saw
Yeah.
that used in Two Towers. It worked for the orcs. Come on.
That's true. They didn't want to. I mean, this was after Two Towers. They didn't want to just copy
Yeah.
that scene, I guess.
In that moment though, I swear as soon as they get on the wall, I don't know if you guys noticed this. I swear it went from like midnight to 7 a.m, like instantly.
Yeah,
Like the
it
second
got
that they
pretty
got
dark.
on top, it was just like daylight. And then, you know, fast forward some action sequences. This guy must have like his civil engineering degree or something, because the fact that he just knew exactly how to take down like that oil thing again, whatever, it's a cool sequence, but I was like, how does he just know like the entire inner workings of this city? He just
There's a 2-minute origin. My father built this city. you
yeah,
know.
he was doing like Greco-Roman wrestling like less than 24 hours prior to this invasion. But you know, here we are again. I'm nitpicking here, so I'll pass it along. But and for my name, Daston's man, I laughed out loud when they opened the door, and it goes like it's I think his name's Biss or something, Daston's buddy. He's like waving, no like torch or anything. He's just like waving his arms, and then it goes to like I swear 1,000 leagues away to like where the rest of the army is. They don't have any binoculars or anything. It's like that's Daston's man. It's just like how the fuck did they see him? Like they're so far away. I laughed out loud when that happened.
That's amazing.
And he didn't make it. He died. Well, he came back later, but later on he's like, "Oh, whatever your name is, Daston was really happy."
Another
run
very like
Whatever your name
Oh, whatever your name is,
It's him.
happy you're back alive. What? I died?
another scene that I found strange was like it was a very classic early 2000s scene where Jake Gyllenhaal's like invading that one building, and then like all the girls, the sisters,
brothel,
whatever they are, they're all there, and like it's weird because that scene is like way longer than it should be. Where like normally in a movie like this, he would come through, they would laugh really quickly, and then he'd move. But I felt like instead that was like 30 seconds long, and so they're all just like chuckling and giggling for like 30 seconds straight, and it's very unnerving because like no one actually says like any words in
No.
this sequence.
They all just have
and then
eyes
eventually
of
he
like
runs away.
they all just want to be like made love by to Jake Gyllenhaal's character, which is weird because then I think it's the brother that runs in or someone else. I think that runs in
Yeah, I
after
think
him.
so.
I think it's the younger brother. They do the same thing. So it's just a bunch of just aroused woman, which is funny.
That's how they
Again,
pay the bills, right? If that's their way of business.
that same scene happens in Scorpion King where the Rock crashes into a brothel
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
all after him. So like,
He smiles.
yeah, this movie is that. But yeah, that's just such a, like you said, 2000s of just every female needs this man. And like they're just robots. They're like fembots from Austin Powers where they're not real at all. It's just like,
As if we need to be reminded that like Jake Gyllenhaal is a good-looking individual, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Girls
I'll
like
be-
this guy, really?
Yeah. I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna bring up just this one moment because as I mentioned in the top, like I think the special effects of like some of the locations and CGI and stuff like that, like when we see that destruction, the apocalypse thing, I think that looks like pretty solid, holds up. What did you guys think about that? The scene when they when Dastan and I can't remember her character's name, but the princess are. I don't even know what the name of the place is, but it's when they go like down deep into that crypt and they're like walking on that one spot, and she's like, "Oh,
Where they
you
had their
gotta
first
follow."
kiss, right?
I guess so, yeah. And you like you gotta follow my steps exactly. And she gets away. Because when that first happened and like the first platform breaks, I thought he was just gonna like parkour it and go along the whole way. But then like the whole chamber just like sinks, and I feel like they just like they could have put so little budget into that scene if he just climbs up and makes it. But instead they did this thing where he's like sliding, he's like almost like snowboarding or something on the sand and all this different stuff. So that kind of caught me by surprise by like how intense that scene ended up being. I thought it looked actually fine.
Yeah,
It's
there's lots
not
of stuff
great,
above
but
them
it's
falling,
decent.
wasn't there, and stuff like that. Like it was
Yeah.
big to do about.
Because he like
nothing,
balances
really.
at one point, but then like another thing
Yeah.
follows.
Her name was
I like-
Tamina, by the way.
Tamina, there you go.
Yeah.
I like even when they just enter the chamber, and it's like a race against the clock because you have like I don't even know his name, Ben Kingsley's character. Like they're getting to it from the top, but then they found like an elevator or something, and then as they're approaching, you can just see like the stones falling because like they're doing work to get down there. I like that whole setup and dynamic like sequence. Because I haven't seen this movie in a while, I like Dylan said, I was like shocked when it actually just like came out, turned into this like total action sequences, and yeah, definitely could have saved some budget there for sure. I will say, I don't know, like near the end of that scene when they're stabbing it, And like I get it because they're seeing like flashbacks to like different moments throughout the movie of like their experience there. I just again maybe I'm just overthinking these moments, but I just found it so funny of like he's seeing like they're looking at the crystal and they're like seeing basically what us the viewers have been seeing. Like they're like watching the
They're watching
movie
the
of
movie,
like
yeah.
like that scene. It was
like
just
She-Hulk in the finale. Like seeing
yeah,
it.
yeah. So it again, I'm nitpicking here, but it caught me by surprise that they're just rewatching what I just watched for the last 2 hours. But yeah,
Yeah, the only note I had left is at the beginning where they're telling the whole story, like just lots of dialogue, exposition, and they're doing their Lord of the Rings. I found it funny that they're talking about like this big bad, whoever this bad guy was in the past, and his name was, God, what was it? Sharoman. Legitimately, it was Sharoman, and I was like, "You fucking kidding me right now? It's Sharoman," and it's like you're already doing the Lord of the Rings exposition thing right here, but
That's
no, so
funny.
I got a good laugh for that.
It's funny you mentioned that because my last note is also a Lord of the Rings comparison because I feel like that I got a lot of vibes of that, whether it's the CGI of the cities, like I don't know, maybe Weta Digital worked on some of the CGI here or something like that. Even once again you talked about the name and how they went with they added Sands of Time in there, but like if you think about the structure, the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, like it has that same cadence and structure. But there was a couple scenes, like particularly the city stuff, but then also I forget when this happens, but there's a scene at like nighttime, and it's kind of like blue background with the black trees and stuff like that, and people riding around on horses that looked just identical to that sequence in Fellowship of the Ring when the ring wraiths are just cruising around at night looking for the hobbits and stuff like that. I was like, man, this looks like you could pull this if you sent me a screenshot of this frame, I would tell you it's from Lord of the Rings. So there's a few moments like that I feel like they were definitely aiming for Lord of the Rings vibes on this one a lot.
I think anything post 2003 that's fantasy until Game of Thrones is like aiming for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I think after Game of Thrones, people are like, well, we're aiming for Game of Thrones now. And like no one really hits it. Even like Lord of the Rings, they tried Hobbit and didn't. I think that this definitely has a lot of those vibes in there.
You mentioned, Travis, that like you remember a lot of marketing push for this back in the day, which I do not remember at all. Do you feel like that was the vibe from marketing too? Is they're trying to make it seem like that sort of thing?
I feel like I feel like it would be like the first 20 seconds of a preview would be that. You know what I'm gonna do? I don't remember which retrospective we did this for Empty Man. I'm gonna bring up a trailer again, but I feel like the first 20 seconds is very much like in a world, in a time, sands of time. But then it's like action shots and it's like bad guys doing stuff. Like, but I'm gonna pull one up. We're gonna watch.
there's probably like a near kiss in the trailer or like some
Yes.
sort of sexual tension, and I
love,
feel like I remember seeing like the dagger in action. Like he clicks it and then he gets all like sandy because that's a beautiful shot. It's not 2022 CGI, but well, maybe it is with some of the Marvel stuff that's going on Disney Plus. But but like for a 2010, like the CGI, it looked pretty okay for the time for sure. So definitely want to showcase that.
Taylor, were you watching the trailer already at some point? Cause
No. When I was thinking back to when you were talking about how like
when I went
the
on
uncle.
GeekVerse YouTube, it was halfway watched. I'm like, oh, Taylor's been reminiscing.
No, I was trying to find the
What does that
scene.
watch?
I was trying to find the scene where what's his name? The uncle and Dastan were like fighting over the dagger in there. Because when you were talking about why the uncle wouldn't have the memory of that, I was curious. I was looking. You can clearly see Dastan's the one that flicks the nozzle of the dagger off, which means that he would be the one to kind of take priority, go
Okay,
back in
that's
time.
That makes
That's
sense.
fair. But you could still be wrong because they both got sucked up. I'm gonna keep my head canon. But here you go. Tell me, you guys can tell me if you hear this, of course, at least. Hang on here.
Are you allowed to play audio?
You hear this?
Yeah.
Oh, we hear
Quite
it.
loud.
I'll turn it down. Though. Yeah, I know.
very
it's
loud.
a-
This is
Jerry
a long trailer.
Have you wondered?
Oh, see, yeah. Have you wondered what time could do? Blah 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 blah. I'll put. Oh, hang on.
Oh my
I got
God,
some
those quick
subtitles,
cuts.
Too. Yeah, that's like some of these fight scenes there. Okay, we got some subtitles. There, look at that Assassin's Creed.
That's
shot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
right out of
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Oh, leap of faith. Oh.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I got them in
Oh my gosh.
Spanish.
Holy shit, there's a lot of quick cuts.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Look at that.
there.
CGI.
So, that's not gonna.
Sandro chance
That's
put
not
on.
gonna help you at all.
There's the plot.
Oh, you got Alfred
Oh,
Molina.
yeah.
Only
Oh, anytime I gotta go back. Anytime he would jump like this, they tried to make it seem cool. It was never cool. It was zero. Sorry,
That
'cause I
looks
know
like Hugh
you're
Jackman here.
That's not
Yeah.
that's not Gyllenhaal in that scene right there.
Oh no.
no, not at all.
Hugh Jackman.
But they did this a lot. What happened is they'd start the regular jump and then it like slow down the middle and then speed it up. Never was a fan of that.
Taylor was
But
shouting out one of those scenes when you walked away.
that weapon was cool. That scorpion weapon the guy had
Yeah.
and stuff like
A
that.
lot of great helmets too,
Yep.
or at least a lot of helmets, I should say. Oh, I'm gonna
The only way to
say great
this
helmets.
Armageddon is
Talking
for
about
us to
Armageddon.
take the dagger to the secret guardian temple.
Lots of
We must
exposition in
take
this
it
trailer.
back, Destin.
Oh yeah, the slow-mo arrow.
You really enjoy telling me what to do, don't you?
Only because you're so good at following orders.
Yeah, don't press your luck.
See that shot? If you go back to that one, that's like the ring race.
Oh yeah.
I'll go back.
Such
I'll
a
go
noble
back.
prince.
This is a fucking long trailer. They did not need to be this long.
Terror.
See, like that. That is some
That is
Lord of the Rings
100%
stuff.
loading rates.
Yeah.
Nah, school.
And there's nothing more I hate, and that's why we'll never use it in a movie till I perfect it. I love slow motion when it is the 300 Zack Snyder, like it's all shot slow motion, feel slow motion. I hate that it was filmed regular and we're gonna make it slow motion because then you get this bad slow motion, like
Yes.
like that type of stuff, which I hate. you know?
That was used so much in this movie.
That I know that's why I didn't like it. That guy who's like the snake guy with the turban, he's getting lots of play in this trailer. Like they're making it seem like he's the main bad guy. Look,
Such a noble
he's been
prince.
all over. I guess there are multiples of them,
Leaping
but
to
still.
assist the fallen beauty.
Who said you were a beauty?
There must be a reason why you can't take your eyes off me.
Oh, near kiss.
There it is.
Tension.
Oh,
Yeah.
close enough.
Yeah.
That's close enough
Yeah.
to near kiss right there.
Look at bare belly.
Disney presents. They were like, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be our first big video game movie, and from Jerry Bruckheimer.
People love Pirates of the Caribbean.
See, and what did I say? The first half would be the like, in a world Armageddon, we have to stop this, and then the next half is all these action shots, like cool. Pirates, yeah, I guess I kind of forgot about this. That this is after Pirates, so Jerry's like coming off some big stuff right now. but-
This summer. It's time.
And it's so weird because I feel like the Pirates movies are such better movies than this, like leaps and bounds, and you got this, but oh, they got this like crib scene we were talking about. Yeah, like
Snowboard.
what is the last shot? We haven't got a
Oh.
full-on near kiss there.
Oh,
This, they showed
my
the kiss.
God,
Wow,
they
they
kissed
showed
every
They
it.
showed
trailer.
the kiss. They should. This is the whole
If
movie.
this wasn't 2.5 minutes, they wouldn't have. But since
Yeah.
it is, they needed something to fill it.
They cut out the like what I was saying. They're like seeing the movie. It's
Yeah.
in the crystal.
But they show them spinning around though. So somebody in 2009 was watching this trailer. They're like, I think that's Dastan's uncle in there.
They're
You know,
doing
like
a
what we do.
reaction.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like zooming in. Like, is that Ben Kingsley? But yeah, they didn't show that though. Give them that. They didn't show the Ben Kingsley twist, which I'm not sure in the video games if he is the villain or not and stuff like that.
I
So.
feel like
I
The
like going back and
father
watching
is
some
actually-
trailers. This is a fun. I feel like I never
Yeah.
do this.
yeah.
I feel like
I-
specifically I remember battling your own father in Principle, like
Really?
Sands of Time.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he
But do you
gets
think
all,
you're
Trying to put the robe
corrupted.
on him, make him all like.
Wear it.
Yeah.
Put it on. Bro. Yeah. Are you sure though it hasn't just like morphed in your mind that it could have actually been the uncle, but you
It
just thought,
100%
like,
could have.
yeah.
Like this again. This I can't remember stuff from like 2 weeks ago, let alone when PS2 era was.
That's fair. Any final things to shout out before we give final thoughts and rating here? Notes, mentions.
Couple notes. My fellow House of the Dragon friends here. Did you recognize? I think his name was Sisu or Sesso or something like this. He was the dude in the yellow garb that took out the knife guy with his boomerang. He was working with Alfred Molina. I forget
Yes.
what like.
Oh, Steve Toussaint is the actor's name.
yes, Lord Corliss.
No kidding. eh?
Really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
while it was on, I was like, "This guy is familiar. I maybe I'm seeing
That's
stuff."
crazy.
And then search up on IMDb. Yeah,
He thought he
So-
won that fight too, and then he looks down, just spears on the stomach. But
don't worry.
What-
Yeah,
like
what's the
he-
line to? He gives him. He's like, "Some don't have to get that close." And then he's got his fucking boomerang. I'm like, what's this guy gonna do here?
His Game of Thrones audition, he was just like, just watch Prince of Persia. That's all my acting chops.
that's the guy.
right there.
That's the
He's
guy
so
we
good
need.
at House of the Dragon too. So
Yeah, you
shouts out
don't
to him.
see it here. You don't see any of that talent here.
No showcase. Yeah. And then my other note I'll shout out, which it just was weird to me in the moment because you have Prince Tuss. I hope I'm I've said that multiple times throughout this cast. I hope that's actually his name.
Yep.
The one that's gonna be king, who is supposed to be betrothed to what did you say her
Tamina.
name was? To Mina, and then he's like pitching to Dastan here. He's like, all right. He's like, if I can't remember if he says like if father doesn't approve or if she doesn't accept of this marriage, then you have to kill her. And I was just like, why does Dastan have to be the one that murders her? It makes no sense. It makes no sense
You
at
piece
all.
of trash.
And like that's like his favorite. Like I'm not gonna say his favorite brother, but like there's no
Wow.
like tension between the two of like, oh, you'll make her suffer. It's just like if she doesn't accept, then you'll kill her. And it was just like,
the times,
why
yeah.
him? Like they must
the
have an
times.
executioner. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, Dawson is also the executioner. So he's just riddled with pain and death on them. Like, you're going to be a part of this family, but you have to execute every single person.
It's just a really weird consequence
Yeah,
that he brought into that fold. It's
100%.
like if she doesn't marry me, like you're killing her. It's
I
like,
gotta give her this robe.
but why? You must take the robe off
Scenario
father and put
robes.
it on her. I guess that's
Yeah.
before, but
Yeah, he's definitely the favorite brother. Though they're not picking Toby Kebbell either of them. You know, he's just quite
No.
like he's just broody around and stuff like that.
the horse guy.
Yeah, horse guy. Yeah, who just gets fuck. He can't even get back on the hut. He just gets hit by all those arrows. But I digress.
You mentioned Toby Kebbell. Just one last thing: Toby Kebbell and Alfred Molina, Sorcerer Apprentice. Two of them like tag team in that. Fucking amazing.
I don't know.
Good fact. Yeah, never. I believe you. Fucking tag team in that one. Dilmas, final thoughts on this movie?
Oh man, I don't know if I have much else to say
Yeah.
here. This is a fun ride. This is a good, one of those good retros where it's just so it's not so bad it's good, but it's got those moments in it. But then
Yeah.
it's also it's got some good stuff in it. It's got some fun CGI and all this kind of fun stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I've finally watched this. Once again, one of Disney's all-time great movies.
Of
There you
course,
go.
yeah. We're still waiting for that sequel, that Disney Plus series. You know,
The Warrior
They're waiting for
Within,
Jake
yeah.
to sign on.
he's the hold up. Like if
Alfred
only
Molina's
Jake-
on.
Yeah.
You got
Gemma
what's it, Toby
Fisher's
Cabell.
on.
He's on.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley, he's already in the family. He can shoot both this and that. I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. Just like a pat, like 50%. I got enough enjoyment and there's some fun stuff. I'm like, okay, I can give it a 50%. I don't feel like they're phoning in, but it's definitely not the greatest. There's some action stuff that could have been better. There's no really character dynamics here. So, but yeah, a 5 out of 10. That's where I am. I will never watch this movie again. Even my daughters want to catch up on movies. Like, oh, you want to watch Prince of Persia? Be like, that's one you can watch without me. It's fine. Not because he's even bad, but it's just like I just don't need the. There's nothing I would return back to. You know, I would just put on that trailer for 2.5 minutes. Be like, I've seen the movie. There you go. So, Kirk Banter.
Yeah, I'm like I said coming into it, I thought I was gonna be more positive on it by the end, but like it's not a bad. Like I'm still gonna pass it. I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10 here. I am not gonna like seek out to rewatch this, but like I said, like if it's on, I'll probably just while I'm doing other stuff. I don't know, doing homework on my phone, whatever I'm doing. I feel like this is an okay background one because, like I said, I loved these types of movies back in the day. Whether it's Clash of Titans, all of this action. Just again, probably really like cheap love dynamics that like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense why they're motivated to love each other, but whatever. It worked for me back in the day. So for the nostalgia purposes, you know, it's still hitting that mark, but just very like the villain is just so fully evil and like no redeeming qualities, and the slow-mo action I was just pretty bored with you know, after like the second one, and there was many more to come after that, but not a terrible movie.
Dave Field.
This is one of those movies that I will definitely rewatch again. It is right into the category of films where I like to put it on, I like to get a little fire going, I like to pull the blanket up over me and just, you know, just
Really? You put a fire on to watch this movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got
his
the little
hand under
electrical
the stall.
fireplace. Electrical
Oh my
fireplace.
God, this is not an electrical fireplace. worthy
Sprinkle
movie.
some
This-
sand
Oh,
around your
yeah.
house.
Yeah, does Madison
Couch.
think that? Is Madison curling up to watch fucking Sands of Time?
She didn't with me for this film, but she would
So
in the
you
future.
were alone with your blanket. and
Oh
a
yeah, I like
fire.
to get the mood going, set the tone, the aesthetic, just like really set the, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm in the movie zone right now. It just feels good.
Sounds
Yeah.
like you were
I do that for other
high.
movies,
You
Taylor.
smoked a
Yeah.
joint before you did this or something.
Yeah.
But no, I would give this film a strong. I would go probably a 9 out of 10.
Oh my god!
I swear,
That is
I swear he was
insane.
gonna say 8, and I was already
I know,
gonna say that's too
same.
high. And then when he did 9, 'cause I was like,
Holy.
I was like,
I thought 8 was
8,
appropriate. I thought 8 was appropriate.
Oh,
for sure.
even then, I'm like, that's too high. I was like, oh, fuck, 8, really? But then when he said 9,
Full
Yeah.
jump.
Great
Full
time
jump,
watching
yeah.
this, man. That blanket, that
fire,
fire.
yeah.
You were in the mood all
Do you have
Good,
some
a happy
magical
time
light?
watching this.
Yeah, do you got magical light that makes the fire like blue and green and stuff? My
No,
God.
it's just this is yeah, those if we retro more films that definitely hit that sweet spot when I was kind of like aging up and could kind of like experience these kind of like actors and actresses and just these settings. What?
I was getting older and I could enjoy these actors and actresses a lot
You
more.
say that as if you don't age anymore. Also,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
I want
stopped
us
at some
aging up.
point.
You heard it here, folk. You heard it here, first, folks. The next retro next year is gonna be just the Taylor puberty era. You know, all
Have we
the
done
movies-
Sky High yet?
That would be fun.
We gotta
Oh,
do
yeah.
that.
We did a
We did a
contract, but
commentary.
we should probably rewatch it because
I have
fell
not seen
asleep
Taylor
it
halfway
or
yet,
through.
Travis
it.
fell asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be
Oh,
down to
no.
actually watch it and put it as a retro one day. So yeah,
Put your blankets
No.
on.
exactly.
Fire going.
Sky
The fire
High is a
going.
movie I need. The fireplace, I got to make sure I'm chopped enough wood to get me through it. God.
Hey, Mary Elizabeth Winstead in there. Ew, let's go. Positive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that's it. We've done Prince of Persia. The next video game movie we will be doing is in March when we will be retrospecting the Super Mario Bros. 1990 movie. Yeah, that's gonna be a banger one. I cannot wait. So look out for that. And like I said, the next one will be a Christmas vote, and then I'm not sure what we'll be voting on the New Year. We'll see what's going on. We'll pick something. Usually we'll talk with an actor, but we also have lots of other retrospectives coming up that are you'll get to hear announced that are quite juicy. So thank you very much, and until next time, I'll not be boring.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.